Hi, it's Richard here from Intelligent Advisor IT Consulting with a short video discussing the need sometimes to put a YouTube video into an interview. We previously looked at how to use an HTML5 video tag to embed a video for playback, but that won't work for YouTube. So the approach for YouTube is slightly different and requires us to load an API before then calling various methods in order to embed the YouTube video in our interview. So I'm currently working on this interview that you can see in front of you, and one of the pages in this interview is going to embed and display a video from YouTube. And this video from YouTube is just a label with a typical approach of a custom property, and the custom property will be referenced in the JavaScript code of the label extension to replace this label with the video. So let's take a look at how that's done. So it's a typical custom label extension, and as you can see here, we have a reference to the custom property. Because of the way this YouTube API works, and because of the limitations of the embedded debug browser in Oracle Policy Modeling, we're going to detect if we're using the debug browser. Or to be specific, the debug browser is in IE11, so we're going to detect if we're using IE11. And if we're using IE11, we're simply going to put up a message telling the user that the video will not display in debug mode. However, it will display if you choose to display it in a normal browser. So you could use Control F5 in the debugger, or you could simply deploy the project and watch the video. Assuming that you're not in Internet Explorer 11, we will add a div called player. This is not a required name. This is just to tell you what this div is. And it's going to be sized and made visible before we add it to our object model. Then we're going to add a script tag, which will load the YouTube iframe API. And when that is loaded, it will fire the onYouTube iframe API ready function, which will load a iframed YouTube video into the div that I created a minute ago, resize it if necessary, and pick the correct video for display. So this video ID is the end of the YouTube URL that gives you the unique identifier of the video. In addition, once that's ready, we will trigger the onPlayer ready, which will cause the video to play. So the user will be greeted with an auto-playing video. Now I'm using Google Chrome, and one of the things in Google Chrome is that it will not play automatically unless it is muted. So I've set the player to mute 1. There are two values, 0 and 1. So to put it all together, we will load the API, trigger this function, which will trigger an autoplay muted, assuming we're not in Internet Explorer 11. The IE11 is actually something grabbed from Stack Exchange, so it's just a way of checking that we're not using any other browser, and if we are using Internet Explorer, that we're using version 11. So, what gives? If we return to our project, as I mentioned a moment ago, if I reset this, and I'll navigate through the project to reach the relevant page, we see a message telling us that you can't see the video in this debug mode browser. If you wanted to, you should relaunch it using Control F5. So I'm going to use Control F5 to launch. I will still have this message here in the debug browser, but over in Chrome, if I navigate to the correct page, I will see the video and it will autoplay. However, it is muted. So we've been able to use the YouTube iframe API to autoplay a muted YouTube video in Oracle Intelligent Advisor in an interview. That's it. See you next time.